Red alert! Set an intention. Go to Salon Trek.
We're also thrilled to announce that we now serve Raktajino.
Hoopla!
Ahoy hoy friends, and welcome to the Salon. I'm your host Stan Williams, and I will also be separating. Tonight we are discussing the 4th episode of Star Trek Starfleet Academy, but before we do the podcast things, it is 6:30-ish live on YouTube here a Thursday. Thank you for joining us. Speaking of YouTube, I'm just going to skip past a couple of these things to say, oh my God, thank you to all of our new subscribers. We hit 1,000 subscribers this week, a huge milestone. We've been doing this a little over 3 years, and we really appreciate our new friends. Check out all of our videos and watch them for a very long time so that we can get those watch hours up. But other ways to support us, we're on Patreon. You can throw a couple of dollars our way. We've got some fun bennies at the $2, $5, and $9 amount. We're also on all of the podcast places, and of course, as you can see now live on YouTube at Salon Trek. And we are now on Instagram at the Salon Trek. It's the one place where Salon Trek wasn't available, and you guessed it, there is a salon called Salon Trek, and we wish them Godspeed. All right, tonight we are talking about the 4th episode of Star Trek Starfleet Academy, Vox in Excelso, written by Gaia Violo and Eric Anthony Glover, directed by Doug Aronofsky. And again, my apologies if I mispronounced any of those names, particularly you, Mr. Glover. I know that one is challenging. All right, enough of my nonsense. Let's beam in the crew to talk about this episode, starting with my co-host, Trevor. How you do? Ooh, it's champagne season.
Celebrating 1,000.
Celebrating a good work trip. Here's Matt. Welcome back.
Hi, guys. Also having a little champers.
Celebrating the weather and some incredible hair, Joanne. Kupla, how are you? Oh, you're on mute again.
I'm wearing my Klingon hair.
Love it. Speaking of hair, Krista. How you doing?
Also on mute.
Also on mute. I love it. I love the mute button.
I'm wearing my Klingon underwear.
Ooh.
It rhymes with hair.
Does it have a boob window?
Breathe and kiss.
Speaking of boob windows, here's Will.
How did I know that was going to be me? I was like, boob. He's going to use boob window, and it's going to be me. I have titties. I show them. Let me get those done in Turkey.
Yeah, squeeze them. And back again. Here's Ken. Ken, how you do? Also on mute. Or nope, not on mute in the StreamYard function, but your mic is not connected, it seems. Cannot hear you, so we'll
Old
vamp.
Constitution class ships. Just the mic was sometimes fritzing.
Well, you work on that. We'll vamp. Well, actually, I'm going to put you back here so that as we get started, you'll have plenty of time to figure things out by the time we get to you with the discussion of this episode. But before we even discuss the episode, as y'all know, we simply must set an intention.
This is obvious, but don't forget to set an intention when you light it, or you're just going to be wasting the wax.
Indeed, we must. To set an intention tonight, in honor of visiting the Klingons for the first time in several centuries, since we hadn't seen them since the time jump, I thought it would be fun if we went around the room and talked about what species or culture you all would like to revisit for the first time since the burn. So maybe somebody we didn't get to reconnect with in Discovery, but you're eager to see again in Academy, or just that you wish we could see in Academy, even if we won't. As always, I will start us off. This will come as no surprise to anyone, that I would very much like to visit Bajor again, not just the Bajor Tots daycare center or whatever the hell it was called.
The Little Blooms.
The Little Blooms. Isn't that cute? It's not. I would very much like to see what happened to the Bajor. Like, did the Republic ever join the Federation? Did it leave after the burn? What have they been up to? And I have a feeling we might find out at least some of that next week. So I'm kind of jazzed about it. I don't know. We don't get screeners, so don't freak out and think that I know something I don't know. I do not, but I'm hopeful, and I know that there's been some DS9 teases about episode 5, so that's why I'm saying that, not because I have inside information. Again, I do not. If I did, I would spill it because I drink and talk about Star Trek, which is a bad combination. Going around the room, let's start with Joanne. Joanne, my love, who would you like to revisit who we haven't seen in quite some time?
So the ones I want to see, we haven't seen since, what was TNG, 24th century? We should have gone back then. I'm going to sound like a broken record because I talk about it all the time, but let's go to Krios and Vault. I am for you, Ulrika Vault, and see what the metamorph, what influence her being in love with Picard had. They should either be like this total Shakespearean culture or a bunch of, tea drinkers. I don't know. But let's see what's happening.
I love it. I absolutely love it. William.
Yeah. I had a couple. I like, obviously, like the Gerati Borg, like, because it was such like a loose end, and like to see where the Borg kind of end up. But also, yeah, for some reason I also thought the Binars, I think they would be like super interesting to see reemerge. Maybe have a Binar pair as cadets or something would be really cool. I don't know. I love the Binars. I think they're so funny, and I wish we saw more of them because they're so weird. And
definitely a cool remnant from TNG season 1. We don't have a lot of cool remnants from TNG season 1, so it's nice to have a they were interesting. How does that work?
One of the only few watchable episodes from that season, but yeah.
Yes. 100%. Krista?
I have two. I would like to visit the Temerians so that we can all speak in metaphor together. It seems like that's kind of appropriate now. It's all just returned to metaphor. And my ideal situation would be to have the Alamarane guy on the Temerian planet and have them try to communicate with one another, and me just watching and making some popcorn. That's my gig.
I'm loving both the story and Joanne actually Alamaraining across the screen.
I see you.
That was brilliant. Matthew?
Mine, I'm actually surprised we haven't heard more of just in general. I would like to know what the Zenkethi are doing. Like, they were also a crystalline species. Like, did the burn affect them? Like, was there a resonance? Like, I feel like that could be an interesting. Also, like, they're always like peppered in there every once in a while, but they're seen as a major power, and we oddly know very little. Like, I know they're isolationists, but like, what were they doing in the Dominion War? What have they been doing since? Like, which is kind of fun. But I would love to know, like, are the Zenkethi still, Zenkethying, temporal shenanery?
They were very in mystery. They were very Breen adjacent.
Very much. And you know what? Speaking of temporal shenanery, in time they have shenaned once, and they will shenan again. Because I missed last week, and I really wanted to.
I know that's the only reason we didn't. Yeah, it's fine. Ken,
can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Well, I have two. One actually got name checked today. I was very excited about in this episode. So the first Federation.
Ooh.
Where are all the Fisariuses going? What's going on with that?
I like it.
Then the second are the Organians, which got name checked today. I was excited about that. And of course,
I'm sure
they do TOS.
I'm sure they're still wearing fabulous robes, and
they are. Yep, and yes, and opening doors by themselves and things like that.
The robes are now gray, but because everything is gray.
Yes,
you're not wrong.
Shades of it. I would love to know what's going on with the Cardassians. Two things struck me today in this episode. One, we had Admiral Vance back, which is always lovely. I'm missing President Rillick, I think, a little bit. I think she would have been interesting in episode 2, less so in this episode. He makes more sense for what went on, but it did remind me about her, and she's part Cardassian. I want to know what's going on with the Cardassians, but I did love seeing those Cardassian freighters as part of the Klingon fleet in the battle of today's episode, which was like, oh, what's going on there? Did they steal them? Did they join up? What was going on?
Those have been used as both Cardassian and Klingon freighters.
Yeah, I think they just bought them.
They still have I'm sure they just, it's like a neutral trader is just sending them ships for. But I also loved that throwback. I'm just glad you mentioned it.
Yeah,
Stan, I think what I hear you saying is that you wanted to keep up with the Cardassians.
I'm leaving this dead air in.
It's fine. They all liked it. Just because they're on mute, just because they followed instructions, doesn't mean they can't laugh.
Instructions.
Just because you're being a bitch doesn't mean the rest of my friends don't love you.
For those only listening on the podcast, let me be very clear that no one was laughing at that.
In fact, I'm going to the scorecard now. I'm going to mute myself.
Everybody's losing points now. All right, let's talk about Vox in Excelso. As always, I will kick off the top thoughts section, but as new last week, starting this week, we get 1 minute. The banner disappears, we move on. So here we go. I will admit, I struggled with this episode on my first watch. I'm not a big fan of Klingon episodes. I think the Klingons are a bit two-dimensional at times, although they add a lot of depth to the franchise. I think Klingon episodes can be a bit boring and a bit predictable. They're going to lean in on their honor, and you're going to have to trick them in some way. Ezri clocked them real well. But like I said last week, if you give yourself a bristle watch and then watch it again, I needed that this week. On my second watch, I found myself really appreciating what was actually going on, the resilience that the Klingons were showing, getting that opportunity to give Jaden the character growth in this episode while learning about the universe around us was really exciting. We got some cool ship stuff. We got some cool battles. We got a lot of good humor with Nahla. And my last final top thought is I loved Laura Thok in this episode, not being the humorous character, but being a mentor. And those are my top thoughts slightly over time. Ken, your top thoughts, please.
Sure. I'm going to surprise everybody by saying I think this is the best Klingon episode since Errand of Mercy. I thought that it was actually very, very well done. I struggled a bit, maybe just because I know about the actor, but I struggled a bit with the actor's deep voice. But Karam, I think is his name, did a fantastic job carrying the episode. Jaden is a great character. Holly Hunter continues to just hit it out of the park in every single scene that she's in. I loved the dynamics that we're seeing with these characters. I love that we open with the famous speech, almost. Looks like they cut part of it, of the famous speech with Picard and the throwback to the drumhead. Another great episode. There's, and I have to say that hearing Jerry Goldsmith's Klingon theme in the way that we heard it, no surprise here that I would say this, but it was fantastic. So yeah, I'm excited to dive deeper into it with everyone. Matt?
I know that I have been a stalwart critic of the disco era, and this I think is obviously part of the disco era. I will be the #1 fanboy of Starfleet Academy from here on. Like, I think this is one of the best shows that Star Trek has ever done. Like, I think that has hit it on the mark every single time. I loved this episode. I thought it was great. I agree that his voice, there's something about the cadence in which he speaks too that I'm like, I don't think it's not broken in enough for him. And I think he'll get there, but I think we're still a little new with that. I literally only had one criticism on this entire thing, and it was that it finally clicked for me. The Klingons seem too human, and then I realized it's because none of them have the teeth. They all have their normal human teeth, and for some reason, it just takes me out of it a little bit. Otherwise, 10 out of 10. Loved the ships. I loved seeing the Doctor. Now we get to see him. He's like, I'm 800 years old. Go to hell. So, yeah, I'm excited to talk about
it. This is my favorite episode so far. And the sole reason is because I don't care for the word diaspora, especially when it's associated with cultures or people that have been removed from what is familiar to them and forced into other areas. That's a holdover from Katrina when I heard it every day on a loop. And I felt like they used the term and the description as it was very strategically elegant. And I felt like they understood the difference between diaspora as sort of a random concept and diaspora representing a group of people that need to be heard in their language, through their customs, as equals. And that's the first time that for the first 45 minutes, I was grinding my teeth because I just can't stand the word. But by the end, I was like, that was very elegant, the way they incorporated the dehumanizing and humiliating aspects of being reduced to a contingent described as diaspora, stripped of your identity, stripped of your culture, stripped of your humanity. And I appreciated that. So it stands now as my favorite episode.
Yeah, I mean, very, very clearly, this is the best episode of the season thus far, and progressively just gotten better. I think this one, it took a second for it to get going. The first chunk of it's a bit of a slog to set up the world building, but I think once we got there, it really got there. And I think the refrain of the first thing we kind of get of this era Trek is the phrase "remain Klingon," which is kind of was introduced in the pilot episodes of Discovery, but that being used now a point for them to retain their culture in tragedy that is them being kind of cast to the wind post burn. I think this is probably the best writing, the best Star Trek we've had in a very long time. I got a little emotional watching it because it felt like being visited by an old friend in a way that I think we've gotten close a few other, but this time I think we really nailed it. Like it's brilliant. I think everyone's acting is on par. It's just a lovely episode. I watched it 3 times. So, Joanne?
I absolutely enjoyed this episode too, and I too was very emotional at the end. I'm not sure why, I'm not sure why I can pinpoint it. It just brought up a number of things from, you know, exile and exilic prophecy and exilic text is my area of study. I'm very interested actually in things of people of the diaspora and language and culture and holding on to that for some obvious reasons and some not so obvious reasons. I also, love the Klingons, so I loved being able to see where we are with them. And I just thought it was some of the themes and the nuance was just really important and really brilliant. And I've purposely stayed off of the internet today so that I don't have to hear, bigoted, biased people trash an important episode. So I loved it.
Yeah, fuck the trolls. Absolutely. This episode, we're all talking about the emotion of it, and we mentioned the emotionality, but none of us quite can pinpoint how or why. And I think that's one of the reasons why I fucking love this episode so much. I didn't walk away from it. The end was somewhat predictable. I think we probably saw where that was going the minute we realized what the problem was. And watching people kind of hit their heads against a wall trying to sleuth it out when you, the viewer, already know what it is, almost always leads to a bad episode. Yet somehow this one is brilliant. And it leaves us with feelings that we can't explain and can't understand. And I can't wait to explore further, not only tonight, but on rewatches. Star Trek has a bad habit of visiting diasporic culture in some sort of either overly diluted sense or overly specific sense. And somehow they manage to sort of hit all of the poignant aspects of it, yet also we're very specific. This episode's a brilliant mindfuck. And for all those reasons and more, I really, really, really loved it. Not the least of which in terms of reasons was Karim's performance. Like he was not one who was sung as the most brilliant actor. There was a lot of attention paid to Sandro and to George, but I think Karim is just phenomenal in this episode, and I look forward to more of him.
Absolutely agree. Let's get into the story of this episode. Like I said, I struggled with it at first, but halfway through I was brought in, and then on my rewatch I was like, oh yeah, this is great. But I will say, even on my first watch, the opener, stunning. The visuals, the production value, and Captain Nahla Ake, her chancellor's address, which was a really lovely play on the captain's log of Star Trek, that she gives a like a daily pep talk. If I could have Holly Hunter give me a daily pep talk, I think I'd be okay. I think I would be okay. But her speech was beautiful. The stunning visuals and everything that was brought this nebula to where it is today. Your past matters, but it doesn't define you. What are you going to do moving forward? How are you going to evolve? Was just lovely, and it started the episode in such a beautiful way, visually and oratorially. Words. Matt, you seem desperate to say something.
Ironically, you got hung up after oratorially.
Well, I was going to say it in a different way, and then I remembered where I was.
She was very oral for the entire beginning. I also really loved, and this is just a side little, like, I obviously know it's a show, but like, I loved the idea that she just kicked everyone off the bridge so that she could like sit there, because there was no one else on the bridge when she was recording that, and I'm like, this is.
I didn't even notice that. That's right. Yeah.
Like, why is everyone off the bridge? But I can also fully see this character, like Nahla Ake, that from what we've seen, her being like, I've got the bridge. Please just go ahead and go.
I could see her absolutely clear the bridge. I need a moment. Yeah.
I have to do my rousing speech in the beginning of the day.
Your Holly Hunter used to be okay. It is, you're going the opposite direction.
I know. It's been a couple weeks. But I
clear the bridge. What the hell kind of strategy is that? Sorry.
Yeah, I thought that was like the way she encapsulates the feeling of this series just with her voice and just everything she does. It's more to the side. Yeah. we'll work
More
on
to the
that.
side of your mouth.
But genuinely, that and the music, the like upbeat, tinky, like, oh, it's just great. Anyway, I loved that she had them clear the bridge for her to do that and to like sit on the view screen looking out.
Trevor, help me.
You only loved it because you would do the exact same thing if you had a starship. Krista?
This muting thing is pretty annoying. I like that Ake continues to be light. She is a captain that does not have, there's no angst, there's no family feud, there's no deep-seated trauma. And if there is, it's not the fundamental focus of her personality. It's not the fundamental focus of her character. She is light and she's airy and she's open to meet people where they are in that moment, fully accepting and still hoping to progress further. I like that whenever she is in a room with somebody else, she's so comfortable in her skin after being 3 billion years old that it's like comes across as though she's flirting with everybody, when really it's just kind of a been here, done that. And I'm just going to kind of quirky smile and kick it around a little bit because it's new for you. None of this is new for me, but all of this is new for you. And the way that it comes across as appreciating, like being able to re-experience it because somebody else's first time, being able to be a part of that and to sort of nurture that. I mean, they really just could not have picked a better actress to play that kind of captain.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just great.
I'm loving all of her little choices.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's making some bigger, like somersaulting across furniture choices that I personally love, but she's also making some really lovely subtle ones. Like in a couple of episodes, as she's talking with Laura, she'll grab her by the arm to walk her to her chair or something like that. She did the same thing with Jaden on the bridge. She's like, go ahead and come with me. It's a very distinct actor choice to be like, in this moment, I am literally leading you somewhere. But it also has a very motherly feel to it. And it adds to the camaraderie that she has with her first officer, also with her cadets. She was also very funny in this. She's been funny throughout, but I loved the show in general is using humor really well. And in this episode, I thought it was a really smart choice. Like I said in my top thoughts, to have not Laura Thok being the source of humor in this episode, but rather letting Holly Hunter have those moments. The getting drunk, being hungover, yelling "Kapla" on the bridge, and Krista, you said it earlier. Like her style, I've been there, done that. Like she even says, "You know what? Let's go to red alert." Like the way she doesn't go red alert. She's like, "Let's go to red alert." Maybe that's what we'll do now. Just delightful. I am loving. I'm out of order how I plan to talk about the episode today, but I am loving Nahla Ake. So I felt like starting there would be a good place.
She's very nurturing, but in a minxy sort of way.
Yes.
Like in a tricksy sort of way. So it's not undermining. It doesn't verge into motherhood trope. It's nurturing because that's part of her remit. That's part of her job, but it's not overstepping. And she's still like a tricksy minxy doing it. Like you could that she's got whoopee cushions, that she's got, she's got the shit and she's going to play until it's not time to play anymore.
Yeah.
And I really like the clarity there.
It's actually a great callback to her, to the scene in the very first episode with she and Caleb and him saying, like, I'm not him, meaning I'm not your son.
Mm-hmm.
And her saying, I know, like there was perfect clarity there of like, no, I'm not looking for a replacement. This is who I am. Like
So
yeah.
I could totally believe that who she is now, who she was then, was the character she played in The Firm, where she walked around going, "That's not my best feature," and she had the cigarette and the long nails and the blowjob under the table. Like I can see the two.
I mean,
that's future Ake.
Who among us hasn't?
Among us?
In fairness, I gave you that one. I gave you that one.
Let's go to Matt and then Will.
I was just going to ask how old she was because I can't remember how old she is.
422.
422. Okay, so she was...
So not a billion.
So 28...
Less than a billion.
So like the 2800s is when she was born. Okay. That was... I cannot... I will not... This is really hard for me to accept.
There will be a test later.
Is that going to be on the exam?
Time traveler.
Listen, temporal psychosis. I will say that this is a really tough pill to swallow as someone who has worshipped Janeway for the last 30 years of my life. But like Holly Hunter, Captain Nahla Ake is, I think, my favorite character of all of Star Trek. Like, I think Jadzia Dax, Captain Janeway, all of it. Like, I think she has come in so strong, so fast, so perfectly. This is it. Like this character to me feels so perfect. Like tone perfect, word perfect, like all of it. Every time she's on screen, I just am obsessed. And you are absolutely right, Krista. Like in 100%, everything you just said. Like yes, I cannot agree more. Like I just want to yes. That's all I had to say.
Will.
I think there's something to this character that I think people are gravitating towards, which I really enjoy, because people first were like, "Ooh, she's not sitting in a chair properly." I think people forget that she's also a teacher. So like her job is not to captain the ship, is to chancellor the school. So she carries the rank of captain because her school is a fucking ship. Well, 3 of them apparently, but like, so she has, like, it just keeps changing. I love it. I need a toy of that like yesterday. She's that one English teacher that every gay kid came out to in your high school. You know who she is. That's who this character is. And I think it resonates with people because she's every school I've ever worked at, every school I've ever been a part of as a student has always had the magic teacher.
Mm-hmm.
She's the
For me, it was
teacher.
chemistry, but absolutely.
There you go. I've had English teachers. I've had acting teachers like this. I work with a few of them now. Like there's someone who is that magic person that everyone kind of gravitates towards as a student, as a young person. And I think exactly. She's the teacher that lets you call her by her first name. And she has lunch with you. She brings you a Caesar salad out of a bag. It's incredible. Like, it's like one of those things, specific William lore moment, but like she is a teacher. So like, I think Holly Hunter has because she's also an incredible actress, a practice actress, and an award-winning actress, that she's kind of pinpointed what she needs to be in the moment as the character, but also who this character is. Because she's not a captain first, she's a teacher first. We're not really we meet her as like a prosecutor. I don't know what she's doing, but we really don't get to know her until she's a teacher. Like, we see this moment of her past, but we don't actually see her as she is now until she's around children. So I think she's playing something very specific, but I think her as a captain is super refreshing because we're so used to people who are so buttoned up and stuffy and like this thing that we forget that Starfleet's a job. Like these people are at work. Like, why would they not like have fun and hang out and like be a little lighter than this? And I just think it's so fucking refreshing. I need 10 more seasons of this show.
Yes.
And not to circle back to something that Stan already said, but the fact that she's Lanthanite,
Gross.
and I know, I'm sorry, forgive me, but the fact that she's Lanthanite and 422 years old, to your point, Will, everyone's a kid. Like, yeah. Everybody's a kid to her. So it's the lightness and the silliness of like, I'm the magical teacher, She's that
Because
to
you're not going to
Laura.
live as long
She's
as
that.
her. She's just like,
Yeah.
you all are you're all babies. She calls them
Yeah.
zygotes. Like, you're zygotes. Get out of here. Like, you have no idea what the world is like. She knows more than you'll ever know. She's seen more than anyone there. So I think
this
there's
is
something that brings out that character, and Holly's picked up on it, where it's like,
Mhm.
this character has lived for so long. None of this shit fucking matters. She's lived through so much. She's like, we'll get out of that. Not a big deal. Red alert. Who cares? Like, she knows she'll survive. Like, fine. Like she's like, fuck torpedoes. I guess. I don't know. Like, I just love it. She's just like, doesn't even look from a book. She's just like, yeah, warp, whatever. It's like great because she's like, we'll get out of this.
Should I get some fries for the table?
But
Should
also,
we be bad?
Don't I really want? Because I'm gonna have a seltzer. Like, that's like the moment.
I so
It's like-
badly want, like, the only other person on the ship though that can like do that to her is the doctor, and I want to see more of them together because I want to see this, like, because this
He's
is one of the
technically
episodes.
older.
This is one of the episodes where he called it out, and he's like, I have been alive longer than your entire like. I forget what the exact quote.
Your-
but he's
the-
just-
Lineage.
Your
Lineage.
Yeah, the
That's
next
it.
episode is with Sam, so I think we'll get probably something with them because they've kind of hinted that there's a weird tension between him and other photonics. So we
And I
might see
think
something with them.
I'm
But,
so interested. to see.
Note the date and time. Matt just got us back on track to talking about the doctor and the debate society of this episode, which leads me to say, again, I love this show. I think they're doing an excellent job. Something that I want to highlight is how good this show is at utilizing its premise. It's a criticism I've had of other, like, I don't want to name shows, but like, let's call it Blange Cool Durlds. I don't know, like not leaning into, I'm usually better with that. It's fine.
Say their name. Just say their name.
Are you though?
I don't think Strange New Worlds leans into the promise of its premise because it never quite stated its premise, and then it kind of did, kind of didn't. Like, it's all over the place, big swings. This show, I think, is utilizing the promise of its premise. The way that they weave in the fact that they are a school, it is the academy, this debate club debating this current event, which normally you wouldn't do in a debate society, so beautifully utilizes the fact that they're at Starfleet Academy to debate the moral quandary. And like, debates are so fucking boring, but this wasn't. Like, this was so good and compelling, and having the doctor be the debate coach makes sense. I loved his humor in this episode, him calling out Raimi, not paying attention, saying, before you were a glimmer in your father's pants.
Gross.
Yeah, a little gross, but like,
Also, an aquatic people, do they wear pants?
oh, good question. But I loved the doctor in this episode. I think they're utilizing him very well. He wasn't in the last episode. He could have been, but like, having a character that we've already seen so much of, it would be really easy to lean on that. Some other shows do that. Characters we've already seen so much of. This show is giving us just enough of him, and I loved how the callback to Voyager wasn't a fan service moment. It was in service. The Judge Aaron Satie quote, not fan service. They're not using lore connections as fan service. They are weaving into the show appropriate ways of hearkening back to the lore and making it make sense in this episode. It's not just a list of cool captains for no reason. It's, I debated myself into existence, and that's why debate is so important. That's why we value it here at Starfleet Academy. Who else had thoughts about the debate of this episode? The debate club, the debate itself. Who is for and who is against? Cadet Trevor, state your premise and begin.
I just loved Caleb calling himself a master debater. Push it. Push
Yeah.
I'm just glad somebody said it.
Push it.
Problematic gay alert.
Twice. Twice a master debater.
I'd watch both times.
Problematic gay alert.
He's got bounce back.
He's got that Takeda.
Got that Riz.
That was Riz.
Oh
by the way.
God.
Right.
Oh God.
Is that wrong? So
Okay,
that's
but I
wrong.
do want to say,
Off the struts already.
I really, really want to say that, like, I am so happy they brought up that, Stan, to your point, that comment about I debated myself into existence, because anybody that watched that episode back when it aired could feel the, like, if you really cared and if you're a big enough nerd, which I think most anyone watching us would be, like, you could feel Janeway laying there and reading her book and trying to support him and the exhaustion and watching him like battle himself. So of course it makes sense that he now loves debate, because that is what, like, it all felt right. And I loved that we got that reference without it just being like, back when I was on the USS Voyager, I also ordered rock to Gino.
Yeah.
Because I was on the USS Voyager. And did you know we got stranded in the Delta Quadrant? Like,
And I also love it conjured a completely different set of episodes for me than the one you just mentioned. Because like it
Really?
was a premise of several episodes, but for me it was author.
So author, I thought of that one, but then he said he debated himself into existence. And then I thought, oh, when he had that feedback loop in his moral subroutine where he had to they kept deleting his memories because it kept happening.
Yeah.
Like,
I get the episode you're referencing. I just think like that's something that I love about this episode is that it's conjuring different episodes of Voyager for both of us.
It's
he
because you know
debated
why?
Existence.
Because it's the authentic character. They're letting this character reference his actual life, rather than just writing it as like, oh, we need to check off saying that he was from Voyager 4 times in one episode. Like, the whole thing, I loved it. I did think it was kind of weird putting everyone up against each other right off the bat like that. Like, just, he really is to the point where he's like, listen, sink or swim, kids.
Yes.
Sink or swim. Like, so
I'm not getting any younger. That to me is a very normal debate drill. My problem with the Doctor in that scene was you have a cadet who's clearly about to have a panic attack. Get out of debate coach mode and go into Doctor mode.
I was surprised about that. Yeah.
My headcanon is because like in the pilot, he could sense when people stress whatever, like he still is scanning Jaden and he's sweating. He's gonna be fine. I don't want to compound it by calling more attention to it.
My headcanon is that when Klingons panic, it doesn't feel any different than when Klingons are just not panicking. And I mean that like they're built for combat.
The baseline is up
not
here.
Yeah,
like your stress hormones are already high.
My headcanon goes along with that one in the sense that Klingons are not known for winning wars through words. They are physical fighters. There's rage. There's all these heightened emotions. And so I think the Doctor was looking at it like, the fuck is happening? This is not a physical altercation. I don't think he anticipated that it for him was harder than just having a fist fight. He was ready to throw, and that wasn't a problem. Once he was riled enough, he would go ahead and do it. And I think that that's one of the important messages in this, is that the very trite, don't read a book, from its cover. He is much more than your stereotypical or whatever your mama thought Klingons were. This is something different. This is a warrior with words. And if you're reducing everything to physical altercations, you'll never leave physical altercations. You'll never progress beyond that. And so a true warrior knows when to throw down and when to just use their words.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's why that was also part of what was fueling the um the kind of animosity with Caleb,
Yeah.
because I thought it was interesting that Caleb saw debate as, a battle with words, or as confrontational, and so, or a violent sort of thing. And so he's just like, no, there's power in words, and so that you're making this kind of adversarial, I think, also sort of fueled sort of the rift between them. So I think you're
And
right.
I also really liked that Jaden called him out on regurgitating facts. You're regurgitating things. Do you feel any of this? And from my time on Debate Club, a lot of times you were forced to argue something that you didn't believe in because that was your assignment. That's what you got. And so, for so many reasons, this episode brought up so many things for me that it became a really emotional episode. But I think I liked that he was, instead of just punching the guy in the face, which would also have been the right decision because he was a smart ass little shit. But he chose to just say, hey, wait a minute, stop with your microscope on me. Let's look at you for a second, Captain Avoidance, Captain Starshine, and don't scratch too deep. And I liked that. I think they're very honestly approaching these kids in this show as representative of the kids that we have now. That every generation is trying to get their hands around and try and figure out, what is it they can believe in anymore. Like it's bad enough to have believed in stuff and then seen it trashed. It's really bad to have never seen the good stuff at all.
Mm-hmm.
And be brought up in this and thinking that this is fucking normal, because it's not. So,
but Chris,
the American dream.
Chris, that is so important. I just really want to call out you just hit something that it just like resonated like a bell with me, and I really, maybe it's just you and I are on the same frequency tonight. Like
I'm menopausal. You.
Clearly, so am I. Is that what this hot flash is? No, but seriously, like, it is so important for people to realize, like, the kids now, the more you talk to them, the more you pay attention. Like, millennials get a lot of shit for like, oh yeah, it never was, what we thought it was going to be, and we had to deal with it. But like, the hopelessness and the being lost, not even necessarily hopelessness because they didn't know what hope was to begin with. They didn't know what society was going to tell them that it should be because they were born and raised like with terrorist attacks, with financial crises, all these things like the burn, these massive life-changing things. Now we're looking at things with AI, and now we're looking at with all these different things. I think that's one of the reasons why I love this show so much. And you hit it perfectly, Krista. I'm not going to re-say it because you said it perfect the first time. So,
and everything in the real world is super chill, as we all know. That's why this hopeful show is hitting the way that it is, because it matches our lovely 2026. God damn it!
But they're also, yes, and
Trevor.
They're also doing a fantastic job of showing us what kind of challenges these folks are going to face as officers by showing us the things that they're good at, because it highlights the things that they're bad at.
Yes.
Like, no one has any question that Darren Ramey will be probably a great first officer for a really long time, but he's not going to be a captain anytime in the near future. Genesis is probably going to be a captain before anyone, but maybe struggle with some of the personal relationships getting too deep. Caleb is going to follow orders like nobody's business, because you give him structure, he's going to actually thrive in it, which is crazy because we didn't think that's who he was going to be. But Caleb falls in line. That's a problem when you need to challenge the line. And that's going to be his obstacle. Like, everyone's obstacles are becoming so apparent, and it's episode 4.
Yeah.
So
they're doing an excellent job.
Talk about getting your writers in the writer's room to talk to each other and actually understand how how each story will inform the next. Like, I'm sorry, I cut you off, Ken. Go for it.
No, I got So bear with me for a second because I'm going to seem unrelated. But one of my favorite lines in Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, one of my favorite segments is when Dr. McCoy says to Captain Kirk, I thought you said people like us don't have families. And Kirk turns to him and says, I was wrong. And this show, and I think one of the reasons that it's hit some emotions here is especially this particular episode, which is very clearly with the flashbacks, drawing the line between the challenges of blood family versus the challenges of chosen family. And coming to terms with the fact that Mir is Caleb and Jaden are discovering that they're brothers in this episode. And Jaden is having real problems with that because they very clearly say his brother, they show that his brother dies. He can't think about the fact that he can't replace his brother who was so incredibly important to him and told him on his deathbed, follow the stars. He can't come to terms with the fact that he can find a new brother. And Caleb is having challenges in that last scene where he says, and you see Caleb really choke up for the first time, I think, when he's talking about his mom, his mom's out there. So this episode, to me, the big emotional thing was that dichotomy, the choices between a chosen family and a blood family, and how the blood family can let you down. And then the other element about this, I know, sorry, Stan, we're not talking about the debate. I'm not talking about the debate.
You're good.
The other element here that was so powerful to me is for the longest time, and this was emotional to me, for the longest time, Jaden had completely misinterpreted his father's action by missing the bird. And it took a new mentor to come in and say, no, this is really what your father was doing. Your father was letting you go.
Yeah.
And that was so powerful and such an incredible scene. And you're watching it and you've seen it multiple times in the flashback in that episode. Then you see the scene where it's explained and then you see it again. And the audience can see it different, even though it's the same scene, almost the exact same angles. You see it different because you see the explanation between misunderstanding and understanding, being so locked in your belief that my parent thought this of me until a mentor comes along and says, think again.
Yeah.
And
that was a really powerful moment. It hit for me too, because it made me think about my mom. I came out when I was 15, and a month later was Phoenix Pride. And my mom said, you can't go, those people do things. And my mom's not great with her words at times. Like you learn from my mom by observing. She will never teach you something. And it was just last year when I was 40, when I brought that up randomly. And I was like, yeah, you got mad at me for sneaking out and going to Pride. I remember you said you can't go, those people do things. And, that really sucked, hearing something so homophobic from my mom. And my mom was like, wait a minute. No. I meant I was worried about people attacking the parade. Like this whole time, from when I was 15 to 40, I thought my mom, just after I came out, said something a little homophobic, and really she was being protective and worried about me. She was worried about homophobic people hurting her son. That moment in this episode really hit for me as well. And I loved that, again, I'll say it again, I loved that they let Laura Thok not be the funny character in this episode, but the mentor. Like, we get some of her backstory, get some good lore development. And I think this moves us really well into the world building that this show is giving us into the 32nd century. Like, we all know, because we're super nerds and we've been talking about it for forever, Discovery moved into the future for a couple of reasons, including just bumping up against canon was just like not where they wanted to be creatively. The original premise of the show was going to have them literally jump around to different times as well. That was the whole point of the Spore Drive. They went in a different direction. Creative differences changed the creative team multiple times. But once they were in the 32nd century, there are all of these questions about the burn, what was going on, and like everything in this episode made sense. You know, I said it last week. Sometimes I can agree with the criticism of Discovery, even though I loved it. They can be a little heavy-handed. Some things didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Everything in this episode made sense. That the Klingons would have been so fucked by the burn makes nothing but sense, because we learned in Star Trek VI how terrible they were to their own environment. They overmined Praxis. It exploded. They were overmining their own planet. The burn would have fucked them, and it did. And it I know some people have clocked, like Norman in the chat. I'm very curious now. I had not considered this because, you know, a child crying causing the burn is, we don't need to go down that path, but I am very curious who all knows, because yeah, you would have to protect that poor child, because so many people would like that has to be classified, right? Like there's no way they were like, hey, this guy did it. Like,
well, Stan, let's just remember everything in Discovery is classified.
All 5 years.
Well,
literally, it never happened. There was nothing ever happened. The show actually never existed.
This one's going to be off the books. But that gets us into the rebirth of the Klingon no longer empire. It's the Klingon tragedy is such a compelling thing. Like I said, I struggled with it at first, but I am loving the world building that we're getting, and learning about the Klingons in this new phase of their existence is going to be fascinating.
I think that might be part of the emotionality for me, is that like, granted, Klingons aren't real. But the idea that this, in my brain, 60-year-old empire is essentially ceasing to exist. Now, granted, it's finding rebirth, but like the sadness of this once great empire, regardless of how we feel about being warlike and valuing, you know, a warrior's lifestyle versus that of a healer or an explorer or anything else, like regardless of how we feel about all of that, this thing that has been core to the Star Trek universe for so long, that it faced such a sad collapse. And it wasn't, they didn't succumb to the weight of their own bad politics like Ezri attempted to prophesize. I got feelings about Ezri and her comments, but we'll get into that later, or not. It didn't lose a horrible battle. It was a victim to a thing that affected everyone. It just affected them worse. And it's just sad. Like there's just a lot of like weight to this once glorious empire that is now, you know, limping across the stars in search of a home. I'll argue with your hot take later. But Ezri was a armchair quarterback, to borrow a straight people term.
I don't know what that means, but
put it back. Don't borrow it. Put it back. Put it back.
Yeah, Ezri was not wrong in all of her assessments, but also a little myopic. And
yes, I will agree. I'm loath to agree with Ezri, but I do think she was right in a good chunk of her assessment of the Klingon Empire at that point.
She was
based on her experience with Curzon, Jadzia, and then as herself with a different perspective.
Well, her flaw, and the flaw in her logic, is that she was articulating a cultural. She was painting something as a cultural issue and as an empire issue. When she should have been talking about politics.
Yeah, yes, the structures.
Politically, what she was talking about made sense. And yes, there were concerns, and there were things that were antithetical to their core values. But her, you know, it only has so much life left in it kind of tangent was a little like, white girl, sit down. Like it was a little much. It was a little much.
But the call out of the corruption is what I leaned into. But you're right, the systems. But Will, you've been trying to jump in for a minute.
Yeah, because I wanted to talk about the show Starfleet Academy.
Deep Space Nine? No. Oh, right.
No.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
Okay, cunts, calm down.
So,
All right.
Did we talk about Star Trek on a Star Trek podcast? Sorry, Will.
Quiet. 5s. The 10 is talking.
No, I'm good. I can let you talk.
Girl, 10 and what? Metric, bitch. Metric. What my okay, so there were some issues I had with the burn just generally because it was kind of ridiculous, but the thing I largely had a problem with is that no like empire, species, organization really like felt the tragedy of what happened, the calamity of it. So like it felt like the Federation kind of fell apart, but it was mostly because like dilithium was really hard to come by and everything got really spread out. And then it was like, oh well, the Vulcans did okay because everyone just kind of became isolationist. Everyone went to their own separate corner. But to have the Klingon Empire, which was such a force that we knew of long, to kind of take the brunt of because there's 24 houses. They said there's only 8 left, so they lost 2/3 of all Klingons are gone, and it's like they kind of got cast to the wind, and no one could help them. So like it was like being the victim of this natural disaster. It was like this thing happened, and then everyone just watched them disappear. I was like, oh, that's so fucking sad. Like the more I thought about it, like contextualized it and kind of built more of the world with the pieces they gave me of the episode and kind of put things together. It was like, oh, these people just kind of got fucked because they said there was dilithium reactors all over the planet that exploded. Kronos was completely destroyed, and the people who really survived were the ones that were probably off planet. So like it's devastating to see that like this whole that fought along the Federation, the Romulans during the Dominion War, who had become such a strong ally, had kind of had to get they were almost not discarded, but like washed away. It was so like, oh fuck, it was so sad. I was like, oh, that's awful to think about. And like how they became exiled and how that story kind of foils with Jaden's, because he got exiled, but then you come to realize that through context, through knowing the other side of the story, that really that wasn't the case. That the Klingons weren't casted aside, just no one could help them. And then anytime they tried, they go, we don't need this charity, because as a warrior race who was devastated by something they could not control and crippled by something so devastating, their pride they lost their pride. So it was like the idea of like fan service is world building in a way where I was like, this is the shit I wanted to see from fucking Discovery, because it's like we didn't get this. I feel like the payoff of waiting for Klingons, like in this moment, was whoever got eat shit from my butt, bitch.
Sure, Jan.
Context for the we're getting some trolls in the chat. We're taking care of it.
I'll find you, girl. Don't worry about it.
We're so popular.
The Romulans are invading Russians.
Girl, I think it's the context of this was great, because like I think sometimes with fan serve, like with the Klingons, I was kind of impatient to hear about what happened to them because we never saw them. There was no mention of them really throughout Discovery, and then getting kind of our first true Klingon character in this kind of the 32nd century is really great. So like I really found like the this moment to be really good. Like on the couple of watches I had after this, thinking about the Klingons going, oh, why would they not accept the Federation's help? They have before. It was their pride, because they got hurt probably worse than anyone in the galaxy at that point.
That's one of the things that sort of rubbed up against me because I was like, I thought that's the direction that they were going to go in, is like, you're saying honor won't let you take charity. Actually, it takes a lot of strength and courage to say I need help and to accept help. But I found myself saying like that's such a human.
The Klingon's attachment to honor is backward.
Yes,
their attachment to it is very like hyper masculine. It's very surface.
Yes.
So their attachment to pride and to like honor is like the backward end of it. It's like the
in some ways it can be the dude bro. Yes.
Yeah,
the
it's
toxic
like that, you know?
masculinity. It's actually strong to accept help, but they can't do it. It also reminded me of in an odd way the Voyager episode. I think it's Prime Factors, when Tuvok disobeys orders and gives the literature to the hedonistic culture to get the trajector technology. And Janeway is shook to her core that he would disobey orders. And she says about his logic, that's the power of logic. You can use it to justify, you can use logic to justify anything. That's its power and its flaw. And I think in the very same way, honor can be very powerful and very flawed. It's how you apply it.
Girl, don't talk about Star Trek.
Krista.
I think
Shut up.
I think maybe not. I read it more like not so much pride. I read it as diminished houses of a diminishing former empire clinging with their fingernails to every last bit of their disappearing culture.
And their identity. Yeah.
And their identity. And so I didn't find it surprising at all that they were like, no, whatever the pound of flesh you want to do this, we're not offering it. And I think it had more to do with dignity than it did pride. The dignity of just being the last representative, being the last of something, and wanting desperately to keep it alive, to keep the stories alive, to keep their origins alive. And I thought that it was really, performative can be a bad thing, but in this episode, the performative come fight with me, the performative battle so that they could retain their dignity and win their planet, in a way that was in line with their custom and didn't strip them of any value, any dignity, any self-worth. I thought was really well done. And it sort of it's interesting that this showed today, because there's a person I follow on Twitter called Miss Shirley, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with her, but she passed, but she spent a great deal of time taking care of people on what you would call, Skid Row, unhoused people. She would color their hair, she would wash their hair, she would provide them food, she would speak to them, she would show them the dignity of being alive. Just being alive was sufficient. And she passed. And to have that happen today, when this show is all about dignity, and then to think of the people that are still living that contribute nothing, and people that contribute everything and do things that are so incredibly selfless and so geared towards making somebody else feel good. It has nothing to do with them. I just, I still haven't recovered from this. I'm gonna start crying again. I can't. This episode really just fucked me up. And here's what I'm gonna say, Trev. I'll take back the armchair quarterback, and I'll give you backseat driver. What?
Oh.
Are we not even going with double entendres anymore?
Yeah.
Well, Jayden has to double your entendre.
Push a button. Push all of them. It's
I
all
mean,
of them. It's
I
all the
tried
buttons.
so hard.
You thirsty bitch.
I pushed it.
Krista, I agree with you so much that it was really about dignity. And maintaining a sense of culture and identity that was important to them. And kind of to Will's point, the Klingons have been and have told us all the time that we've known them, that they're not like us, that they're always countercultural, that, we can work together, we can do these things, but we're not like you. And so now in this rebuild, we're still not like you, and we're even more not like you. And we're holding on to our traditions, our language, our culture. When he's arguing, when the brother's dying, and he's like, let's get the regenerator, it will save him. And his father says, the Federation tools are not for us. I mean, that was a central theme, and it's why, that's what happened at the end. And for me, that battle, I'm going to push back against this language about the battle. It wasn't performative, it wasn't fake, it was ceremonial.
Very good. There you go.
There
you
it
go.
is. Yeah.
Nice. That's the word.
Yeah.
Exact perfect word.
Totally.
And
Well, it's
so,
interesting.
yeah.
It reminded me a lot. I put this in the chat of another stream, but it reminded me a lot of the core tenets. The first principle of social work is to meet the client where they are, and the Federation wasn't doing that. The Federation wasn't federationing, which is sort of. I'm paraphrasing Jaden, but there was a lot of, these are our principles and we stand by them and we're going to enforce them upon you. And the Klingons were like, what the fuck you are? Like, that's not how this works. And to Joanne's point, they were projecting, we are not like you. What the Federation wasn't picking up on, and finally did through Jaden's help, was they're not like us. They are our equals, and what they are is okay. It was the acknowledgement that the Federation couldn't save everyone the way they wanted to save them. They needed to save people the way those people wanted to be saved, which is both echoing what Joanne said and what Stan said at the beginning of the episode. It was, and to Krista's point, I think it's why it's hitting all these emotional chords for all of us. It's resonating in all of these different ways. It's we're not inside of one drum. We're inside of an orchestra, and the sounds are coming from everywhere. It's just a powerful episode.
Can I ask a question?
It's always been...
Sorry, go ahead, Will.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say that the my favorite Klingon moment is actually Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, where they're having that dinner, and as Boras goes, they say, he just goes, Homo sapien, the word is even racist. And Starfleet has struggled with the Klingons meeting where they're at, and the idea that they are countercultural for over 1,000 years at this point. So I think that moment, that clinch over, is so this kind of larger discussion we're having about what it means to help somebody.
Yeah, cultural competency is missing in Starfleet a lot of the time. Like you said with Star Trek VI, human rights. Human rights.
The Federation in on itself is like an organization that has the best intentions, but in those intentions and its unity is deeply homogenizing. So it levels everyone. So the culture can't stand for itself. And it becomes kind of the as Boris says, a Homo sapien only club. I think it's an interesting thing to wrestle with as our world at large, where we deal with conflicting cultures and how we deal with them and how we meet people where they're at and offer assistance to people when in the way they want that assistance, instead of forcing a morality and an idea upon them. So
I likened it earlier to a nonprofit going into a community and saying, here's a bunch of resources. Here's a bunch of cans of stew. We don't
know how to use that. Yeah. It's
right, but that's more about the person dropping those things off. That doesn't have anything to do with
it says more about them.
That's about it's like dropping dirty shit at the Goodwill. Why
Yeah.
didn't you wash it? Why
We had a real problem after the fires of people just dropping off shit that they needed to get rid of. Like, no, these people who just lost everything don't need your dirty ass sweater. Like, they need clean, fresh clothing. Yeah.
Yeah,
and I like that Jaden called them out as like, no, we're gonna do this the Klingon way. Like, the Federation is not gonna force anything here.
Yeah,
it's actually why I really appreciated every Klingon character pronouncing things in Klingon versus every non-Klingon character pronouncing things the way that humans have assimilated the word to sound.
Mm-hmm.
It was a brilliant auditory description of there is a distinct difference here, and stop Federation washing everything that you hear or say to make it look, it looks like Kronos, but that's not how it's pronounced. It looks like Kalos, but that's not how it's pronounced.
It took me out, but I'm glad you've brought this up, because you've given me a better appreciation for it, because sometimes there's an overpronunciation in the real world of certain things that can be a bit much at restaurants, for example. But here it was cultural competency.
Yeah. And it's also 800 years of language evolving. They have been saying it maybe at one point during the Dominion War, because we've heard them say, oh, Kalos is whatever. Over the years, Kalos has become just it's just become Holly Hunterized.
So close. Our language has changed in the last 10 years, the last 50 years, the last 100 years. Ken, what were you going to say?
So what you guys are all saying, and what this show is doing so well, unlike maybe some other shows, is it is embracing literally the 60 years of this show and taking advantage of it in telling their story. Because you see them using, like we said, we've known the Klingons for 60 years, right? They've been there from pretty much the very beginning, the first season of TOS. And they are core, no pun intended, core Star Trek, the Klingons. And this whole concept of they're hitting, even in this conversation, we're hitting moments from Star Trek 6, we're hitting moments from TNG, we're hitting moments from the original series, which is exactly what this show is doing very well. And it is incredibly emotional. This episode, I think the thing that struck me the most about this episode is that it really was, without a doubt, an episode of Star Trek. Not Star Trek, Starfleet Academy, or Star Trek Discovery, it's just Star Trek, the two words. It's an episode that fits very well in the 60 years of this franchise. And it held it up very strong. And so that's what got me emotional. Not only did they do it with the story, but they've done it with the language. They did it with the music. They did it with everything. And so other shows have, for a long time, said, we're not going to embrace different parts of this franchise. We are our own thing. And even Gene Roddenberry said it. TNG is its own thing, which was its, when TNG stopped doing that, it got better. Starfleet Academy never said that. They said, we're going to embrace the entire 60 years. It's our 60th anniversary. And this show, this episode, honors 60 years. And that's what I love most about it.
And speaking of honor and embrace.
Yes.
We got to talk about this comment.
Really quick, can I be obnoxious? Can I ask one question? No, it's a legitimate question. I promise. This isn't funny.
Is it about
it's about the Klingons. Really quick, before we end this, I just want to ask everybody here. Okay. We didn't see them communicating with the Klingons ahead of time, obviously. Maybe they did. When they went into that battle, when we're looking at it, I agree that it was ceremonial. That was like what needed to happen. From a tactical standpoint, are we just saying that the Klingons have stagnated for the last 150 years, and that's why? Because they point out that shields are holding at 95%. Is that to just? And this is, I genuinely,
Senator, ask your question.
I'm saying, like, did they coordinate with the Klingon guy that Nahla was fucking to like not necessarily do as much damage as they could? Or are we saying that
No.
the Federation is so powerful that 5 ships now can stand up against the fleet? Is that
It was a
this is genuine
ceremonial
question.
battle, and the Klingons aren't stupid.
Yeah. Those
we
ships
think-
were just
I
the
also
ones
think
that were
it's a
nearby.
reason that maybe I also think it's a reason that their ships are probably not as powerful as the Federation at the moment.
Yes.
I think both things can be true. I think that
Yes,
them being without a central kind of infrastructure, I think, has laid waste to their ships. So, but I also think that maybe everyone kind of knew what was up.
Yeah, they
See,
knew.
that's what I was,
Klingons
and that's
knew.
like I loved it. Don't get me wrong. To me, I was like, I don't know if this was on purpose or if this is also to underscore the fact that like the Federation has kept its technology and they are now that far ahead that like the Klingons really cannot touch them. So
And,
anyway, that was my
and
list.
speaking of touching, can we talk about Darren?
Now
and
we
Dix?
can segue.
Oh,
Now can we
yes.
talk about them
Oh,
dicks?
Mama.
This moment, listen, if you want to read this as intimate, you can read it as intimate. If you can read it as sensual, you can read it as sensual.
Yep.
If you want to read it as sexual, you could read it as sexual. The future is Pan, y'all. Darren Ramey is the Will Riker. Shout out to the USS Riker. But Darren Ramey is the Will Riker of Star Trek Starfleet Academy. The future is Pan. If TNG were today, Will Riker would be canonically Pan. Kyonians fuck, y'all. And Darren, my God. I was like, kiss, 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 kiss. I'm glad they didn't, because it was a good intimate bro moment. But now I want them to kiss. If the love triangle ends up being not with any women, but with Jaden, Kyle, and Dareem, yes. And
A mom and 2 dads.
yes.
Problematic gay alert.
But also growth for Ramey. He's not just a jock douchebag. He was a caring friend in this episode.
He's a horny horny douche.
Horny douchebag, but also
He wasn't a
friend.
dick for a minute. I love that line.
Yeah.
Problematic gay alert.
Because he had
Bros
two in
being
his hand.
bros.
Because he had 2 of them in his hand.
And yes, did they bang? I not those 2, but did Captain Ake and General? They used to bang.
Yeah.
Did they bang?
He said that there's something about it being too violent. Like it was there was kind of this moment where I don't remember the exact phrasing, but he said something about like what we used to do was far more violent or whatever.
Yes.
And she was like, yeah.
I don't think
it
that stumble was not just from the wine.
Okay.
No.
Oh
I think
no.
there's a lot of redundancy,
And I
right?
love that Klingon. That guy was great.
Yeah, he was very good.
Kudos to that actor and the character. It was a lot of fun.
I gotta be honest though, seeing like, and this is a good thing, but like
Back to the ship.
like, what? But like seeing like a genuinely like white Klingon is a little like it's good. I'm glad we're not doing the slightly problematic, like we're tiptoeing into like some dangerous territory, but it still takes a little like getting used to. I'm like,
We've had a few.
The production limitations and creative decisions of 1960s and 1990s Trek. Yes, every Vulcan has a bowl cut. Only Southern layer Romulans have ridges. Klingons
you know,
of all colors exist and have existed. We've seen purple Klingons.
Just so you know, you're the current speaker. There
Yes.
you go.
The albino. Don't forget about the albino.
But see, that's what I kept thinking of is the albino from the when they were doing that. I was like, every time I see one, I'm like, oh, right. Like,
recalibrate your willing suspension of disbelief.
I'm gonna
I'm
blame.
not saying it's a bad thing.
I didn't say you said it was a bad thing.
I'm gonna blame the producers of 57, 58 years of Star Trek 55 years of Star Trek for making us think that it looks weird when we don't see a Klingon in blackface.
I agree. No, that's exactly the point I'm trying to make. more
That's what we were
eloquently.
seeing for 55 years, and they finally stopped doing it. And we're like, wait, what's that? It's just a Klingon. It's fine. Everything's fine.
And he was a great Klingon.
Fantastic.
He is
Trevor,
Klingon. It's a long story.
Remain Klingon, and Trevor,
That's my plan.
remain landing the ship.
I'd be happy to land this particular vessel. Wait, which version of are we the third version of the ship?
It's just
as Will
the
pointed
saucer.
out.
We're a secret
Many.
fourth version.
Okay, I love that. I love that for us. There were 4 problematic gay alerts. There was 1 problematic ally alert. There was 1 explosive saucer separation. Matt got us back on track once and only once. And there were 4 Holly Hunter impressions. Stop it. We're stopping there.
And derailed us several times, including with the Holly Hunter impressions.
Didn't count it. I gave Ken 1,000 bonus points for being tired of our shit. I gave 2,500 bonus points to Joanne for writing a song about it. I gave an additional 4 bonus points to Joanne for Alamaranian dance moves. I gave 6,900 bonus points to Will for embracing his boob window. I gave Will an additional 500 bonus points for being phaser focused. I gave 550 bonus points to Krista for reminding us all to wear our underpants because you never know when your bird of prey might get into an accident. I gave 1,000 bonus points to Matt for finally swallowing that pill. I gave 8.5 bonus points to Caleb for conjuring the image of him being a master debater. I gave 422 million bonus points to Captain Nahla Ake for fostering the little gays in all the little ways. I gave 5,000 bonus points to Darum Ramey for getting both them dicks. And I gave 1 million bonus points to everyone except for Stan for enjoying Cardassian jokes.
Literally nobody, but that's okay. Welcome to all of our subscribers. This is the Salon. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to our friends in the chat. We will be back live next Thursday at 6:30 p.m. talking about the 5th episode of Star Trek Starfleet Academy. Until then, check out all of our YouTube videos. Watch them. Get those watch hours up, please. Like and subscribe at Salon Trek or on Instagram, The Salon Trek. Until next week, live long and prosper.
All hands abandon ship. Proceed to the nearest evacuation zone immediately.